In this episode of Travelogue, we head up to Manzhouli, where Russian onion domes dominate the skyline. We'll then travel east to Hailar to meet with the ethnic minority designers making waves in Inner Mongolia's fashion circles.
Well, as you can tell, there's a pretty strong Russian vibe here, which, makes sense, seeing as we're not just on the border with Mongolia, but also with Russia. But in my mind, Inner Mongolia was always synonymous with horsemen and wide-open grasslands, and to be honest, I wasn't exactly expecting a prosperous, multicultural port city. But, that said, life is always changing, and I want to find out how Mongolian culture is evolving here on the borderlands. I'm Tianran, welcome to this episode of Travelogue.
This is Manzhouli, China's busiest land port. As you can probably guess from all the giant Cyrillic letters, it's also the country's main rail gateway to Russia. Today, a staggering 65% of China's overland import-export trade with Russia runs along these tracks. Hard to imagine then that a little over a century ago, Manzhouli was just a train stop on the China Far East Railway. These days, Manzhouli's association with Russia can't be any more obvious. With all its onion domes and matryoshka dolls, the city's practically turned itself into a giant amusement park, a sort of Disney-fied Russia. Here in the Matryoshka doll plaza, you can rub shoulders with the round and famous.
But I mean, it's definitely very novel. What can you say? I guess it's definitely interesting coming here to the border with Russia.
There are over 200 dolls here, painted in the likeness of luminaries such as Shakespeare and Federer and many more I don't recognize. There are also these giant dolls. They house restaurants and hotels and souvenir stores. There's also a circus and a theme park here. It's almost like Vegas, on the grasslands, and minus the gambling. For a border city, Manzhouli's tourism industry is pretty well developed. During the summer months, performers from Mongolia and Russia are invited over to host dinner and a show events. They're great for experiencing the whole Inner Mongolia package, especially if you're short on time. Over a course of 2 hours and some wholesome Russian food, there'll be throat singing, Russian folk dance, and even contemporary ballet.
Well, gotta say, if you wanted to see all the many different types of Mongolian and Russian dances, and even some kind of slightly more creative ones, this is definitely a good place to come.
Though the majority of Manzhouli's residents are Han Chinese, many are well versed in Mongolian song and dance.
I like how there's a lot of ethnic mixing. You don't have to be Mongolian to wear Mongolian outfits or sing Mongolian songs.
I've come back to the Matryoshka doll plaza for tonight's main event, the circus.
I'm really excited. I've never been to a circus before, so I feel like a kid again.
For me, this is a special treat, as these performers hail from Russia, which is famous for producing great circus acts. What's more impressive is that these aerial trapeze artists are the same horsemen we saw earlier. From the wheels of death to the globe of death, every act gets your adrenaline pumping. These performers sure know how to please a crowd.
This place doesn't quite fit with the image of a border town that I had in mind, you know. I thought it would just be empty, lots of grass and not much happening, but really it is a Vegas on the grassland. I do feel like a child again.
After all that excitement, I need to find somewhere to cool off. I don't know too much about architecture, but I guess maybe contemporary Gothic. I don't know, but I mean, even if you're not an architecture buff, this is probably the best viewpoint in the city because, I mean, this is the highest point of Manzhouli, and right behind me is the vast open grassland. And it's kind of incongruous, actually, to see the entire city lit up in neons. Obviously, it's peak season for tourism, but it also just goes to show how wealthy this place became because of its status as a land port. The lights go off at about midnight, so before then, the town here is very, very picturesque. This is, you know, as long as you don't freeze to death. Manzhouli does a lot of trade with its international neighbours. Everywhere I go, I see Russian families loading their purchases onto minivans, and pretty much all the shop signs here are in Mandarin, Russian and Mongolian. Although, if you want to buy authentic Russian goods, I recommend heading up to the border. This is actually an entire duty-free area with a lot of Russian goods. I mean, a lot of the signs are in Cyrillic as well. There's a huge selection of Matryoshka dolls on offer here. In my opinion, compared to the ones sold in high street souvenir stores, these dolls are of much higher quality. You can see a lot of love has gone into making them. Don't think you can get anything more emblematic of Russia than Matryoshka dolls, but you know, these are all handcrafted too, hand-painted, and you can even see the signature of the person who made this right here. I can't read Russian, so you know, I'm just going to have to guess. But these are a massive hit with Chinese tourists. Seeing the potential, Russians like Kirill have also set up shop here.
From Moscow, I stay in Manzhouli. I so like Manzhouli.
Yeah.
This country is very well.
Yeah.
Many peoples. I like many peoples in China.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you.
Coming up next, I get involved with all sorts of woolly animals before travelling to Hailar for a Mongolian feast of epic proportions. "30 minutes drive from Manzhouli is the curious site of Hailar Mammoth Park. Its claim to fame was the discovery of 3 mammoth fossils in 1980, one of which is still the largest specimen to be found in China. However, our main destination is slightly further down the road. As the 5th largest freshwater lake in China, Hulun Lake is so big you can fit New York City in it, twice. Unfortunately, it's a little too windy today, otherwise we'd take a boat out. You might have realized it, but the region of Inner Mongolia we're in, Hulunbuir, gets part of its name from this lake. The Mongols call this place by another name, Dalai Lake, which quite fittingly translates to Ocean Lake.
My record today is 5 so far.
Though there are more sightseers these days, Hulun Lake still remains a popular watering spot for the many sheep grazing nearby. They're tended to by modern-day shepherds who, instead of riding horses, zip around on metal steeds blaring tinny dance music.
Okay, so this is the Inner Mongolia I had in my mind. I mean, I didn't realise people actually shepherded their sheep around here. I thought it was just a tourist destination. But oh, look at them go! Check out these guys! I think I probably scared them. So the shepherd is right there. Just kind of hard to get to him. This is a bit more convenient than a horse.
It's getting harder to make a living raising sheep. This summer has seen very little rainfall, and with barely any grass on the plains, owners will have to spend a small fortune in fodder to see their flock through winter.
I mean, gotta say, the pastoral way of life is really quite picturesque, but to be honest, it's really hard work. I mean, who wants to get up at 4 in the morning to let out your sheep and then herd them back home at 8 in the evening? It's no wonder things are changing, you know. I can completely understand why people use motorbikes instead of horses now, because they listen to you. But, you know, life goes on.
For many Chinese, Inner Mongolia is synonymous with grasslands, and the ones here are supposedly the prettiest. With cool summers and daily flights from Beijing and Shanghai, the only thing you should worry about when you arrive is what kind of ride you want. After all, grasslands cover the majority of Hulunbuir's domain. Just make sure you don't fall asleep at the wheel, or reins. Compared to the vast plains, my next destination is practically tiny. But what it lacks in size, it makes up for in importance, as Hulunbuir's regional hub.
So we've driven about 200 kilometers across the grasslands to reach the Hailar district of Hulunbuir, and you can already tell that the name doesn't really sound Chinese, and although the city looks like any other Chinese city, most of its residents are ethnic Mongolian.
Talk to any Mongol in the world and they'll probably be proud of Genghis Khan. After all, he did conquer more territory than anyone in history. His Mongol Empire was the largest contiguous empire in the world, which might be why you'll find monuments dedicated to him just about everywhere in Hailar. Even on the banks of the Hailar River, you're constantly being reminded of the city's Mongolian background.
So much nicer here in the shed, I tell you what. I mean, it gets really, really hot during the day. So, you know, I've been looking around, and on closer inspection, there's actually quite a lot of Mongolian elements in town. I mean, you know, the giant horse heads on the bridge, there's statues of horsemen everywhere, the statues of Genghis Khan, of course. So it is actually still quite a Mongolian city if you look close enough.
However, you won't see any horsemen roaming these streets. Like any other Chinese city, Hailar has embraced modernization. Mongolian kids now want bubbles in their milk tea, fast food instead of slow stews. It's the inevitable result of urbanization, as people migrate to the cities in search of better jobs. But just because you prefer cabs to camels doesn't mean you forget your roots.
If you can speak English. So you're from Mongolia, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you studying here or?
Working. Working.
Oh, okay. What are you studying?
Mongolian student, art and culture.
Art and culture.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, say for us then.
The most amazing thing about these kids is that they're all singing in harmony. They make it look like the easiest thing in the world. I found out later that the song was about mothers. Pretty appropriate for students far from home.
Whoa, looks like something big is happening.
It's 9 AM and the food festival has officially begun. From whole roast cows to milk tea and racks of lamb, pretty much every dish in Mongolian cuisine is making an appearance today.
It's a subconscious reaction, but I'm kind of salivating. There's a lot of food to eat in the morning, but I mean, if you come to Inner Mongolia and you eat this kind of thing, I think you'll put on a couple of pounds.
As you can see, the Mongolian diet is heavy on the meat and carbs. Special shout-outs go to Mongolian haggis and to budog, which uses hot stones to cook a goat from the inside.
Gotta stuff my face some more. I'm gonna be eating meat the whole day.
With so much meat on the bone, it's no wonder why Mongolian restaurants always provide knives with your chopsticks.
How about this? There's so much meat here. The whole place is filled with the smell of meat and milk. Oh my god, there's a lot of variety.
Coming up next, we meet two visionary ladies with very different perspectives and experience a catwalk like no other. This is Nomin. She is a fashion designer specializing in contemporary Mongolian couture. She combines the aesthetics of the Buryat and Barga Mongols with figure-hugging Western-style tailoring. Her bold designs recently won her a gold medal at a fashion show in Mongolia. She tells me in the past, a woman's marriageability depended on how well they sewed. Today, she uses her skills to promote Mongolian high fashion. Around the corner from Nomin's studio is another designer with a different approach.
布拉特妇女是头上必须戴帽子或者是头巾，以回人。哇！这个帽子是油灯帽子，就特别普通的，就干活时候穿的。
那男女都可以戴吗？
男女都可以戴，这么系了它就是女士戴法。 男士的话都是这么往前这么系，本来是蒙古族的脸盘大嘛，所以你看这么一戴的话这么圆圆的。女士的话你可以往后戴了，他们就是
就手了。每一个季节每一个帽子。
对，直接这么一戴就是老人这么戴，特别冷的下雨天你就这么一戴。 后脑勺这么。
Oh, that's really clever.
这么系它不透风。对对对。特别暖和什么。
As for Buryat clothing, there are so many different kinds it's easy to lose track. But look closely, and you'll find common design elements.
其实上面的基本上都是用蓝色整。蓝色是代表天，黑的是大地。红的是火，有这个的话，你就能分辨出来就是布列克人。
So, I mean, all of the Buryat clothing is very colourful, very diverse. They're all robes, but I can give you a few insider tips. If you see this zigzag pattern, you know straight away that the person wearing these clothes is Buryat. But guys always have this. Ladies have them too until they get married, where they start wearing the waistcoat instead. Because you're not supposed to see people's back. But this way, you can tell the difference between unmarried and married ladies, so you don't end up chatting up the wrong person.
Today's fashion show promises to be a visual feast. Surugoma is competing, as well as other designers from China, Mongolia and Russia. They've all been invited here to show off their ethnic outfits. Besides the Mongols, there's the Evenks, the Orochan, China's ethnic Russians, and many more I don't recognize. And despite the different languages and cultural backgrounds, everyone shares the same passion for fashion.
Everyone's getting ready for the big contest. Lots of different outfits.
And lots of different ideas about what a winning costume design should look like. There's an air of nervous excitement as the audience and the contestants wait for the show to begin. First up is Surugoma's team. She tells me that although nowadays most people wear t-shirts and jeans, every self-respecting Mongol should own a traditional outfit like this. Although I agree with Surugoma, I feel contemporary clothing has its benefits too. In a perfect world, we'd be able to combine the comfort and convenience of modern clothing with the elegance of traditional attire. The Russians, on the other hand, have certainly gone for a hybrid look. And as for these little troopers, I have no idea which tribe they're from, but aren't they just adorable? Although there are so many different Mongolian tribes out there, they all have their own sets of customs and ways of dressing. These models are from Mongolia and are dressed in the colours of the rainbow, a powerful symbol in Mongolian mythology. I wish people wore these outfits more often. They're so full of cultural identity. When you put on ethnic attire, you're not simply wearing clothes, you're wearing the history of your people.
I'm going to say, this is such a fantastic occasion. I mean, Inner Mongolia is huge. It's bigger than Western Europe, and there are so many different ethnic groups there, whether they're Mongolian or Orogen or Rebroadcasts, many more. And this is a great place for everyone to get together, showcase the best of their outfits, and also pride for their homeland. You've got to come here to see it for yourself.